Hawker Harts took off from Hendon Aerodrome in the balmy summer of 1931. Then the Harts were considered the fastest bombers in the world.
Here's a flashback to the show in 1937. Much slower in those days, but no less enterprising.
The Hawker Furies show how aerobatics were done pre-war. You may well ask, pre-what war? The ancient biplanes do look flimsy, all paper, string and glue, but they were tougher than they looked, and they knew a thing or two about the spectacular. By the time RAF Meteors took the aerial stage in 1950, the war had accelerated technology. Propellers were on the way up. Now it was the whistling jet. But 9 years later, aerobatics as a serious scientific pursuit took shape with the coming of the Black Arrows team of Hawker hunters.
So I'd done, well, quite a lot of jet flying, and the Hunter was a superb airplane. It just felt superb. It was miles ahead of its Vampire and Meteor's ancestors, as it were. And a typical Sydney Cam airplane, absolutely beautiful. It was the first aircraft with a full power control.
Triumphing over time and space, a pilot becomes a particle of the great kingdom of the skies. This has been achieved by his complete mastery of his aircraft and the element in which it flies. He knows just what his machine will do, how far it will carry him. With this new element at his disposal, he has attained exquisite sensations of purity and power.
The Hunters were being brought in by ferry pilots from Dunsfold, and when there were no duels, just a single-seater, there was no operational training unit. I just sat outside on the lovely sunny days by the runway. Pilots would come out, I'd have pilot's notes on my hand, and I'd dive into that and ask them random questions, walk around the airplane, strap them in, tell them the takeoff speed, the landing speed. Off they all went. We just trained ourselves on the Hunter, not a single incident. When I joined 111th Squadron as the CO, I found life on the squadron very dull as far as the flying was concerned. It was simply because in fighter command, its sole purpose within the UK was the defence of UK, and the thing they had to do was to practice scrambling as fast as they could and then do a successful attack on that aircraft. It's all right, but once you've done it about 3 times a day for quite a month or 2, it tended to be rather dull and repetitive. And then I found that you could do formation aerobatics. You were limited to 3 aircraft. You were limited to not below 3,000, 5,000 feet. I said, okay, well, we'll just take up 1 or 2 of the more senior people and we'll a bit of light relief instead of all this practice interceptions on ghost targets and so forth. And so I started to do that, and then I added a 3rd. So it gave us a little bit more fun within the squadron. And I didn't aim for any more than that. And then we added a 4th. These are still all Meteors. We're talking about 1955, I think. By 56, we were beginning to do fairly well. We did become, in 1956, the reserve team for fighter command. And somewhere in 1956, around about April or May, 43 were engaged somewhere else, and we were sent off to Bordeaux in France to do their first public display. We did an early show, whilst still camouflage, and Le Bourget. our PR man got hold of a copy of the local paper, and they said silhouetted against the sky, RAF hunters looked like Les Fleches Noir. I was shown this article. I said, yes, that'll do. And so he said, okay, we're the Black Arrows. Throughout the Meteor and the Hunter, early Hunter days, I think it's well worth noting that first and foremost, the squadron was operational, remained operational. We never lost sight of our main duties. I said, let's try 5 aircraft. We could all do certain number of manoeuvres of formation changes with 4 aircraft, but if I add 5, I can do more, add various formations that nobody else can, because I'll have an odd number. And we invented something called the Card 5. We could do more. We could fly the Arrowhead, a nice, perfectly symmetrical Arrowhead. And the next step was, well, most of these national teams have got colours rather different from their operational aircraft. So we decided we would try and get the OK to change our aircraft colours. I do remember during the war how the black night fighters looked fairly impressive aeroplanes, and more impressive in black than their counterparts on daylight operations with camouflage. We decided to do black if we could. A paint company, an aircraft paint company called Cellon, were the bee's knees in painting aircraft. They said, if you can get the OK from your C&C, we'll do it free. And Sony comes and looks at it. So we got the OK to try one. They came along and they did a superb job, and we wheeled out the first Black Hunter. And the C&C, as I said, OK, you can do 5. And I said, sir, I need at least 2 spares if I'm going to do any shows. And he said, oh, very well, but no more. And so we did 7 black ones. In 1957, we were going to go to Farnborough. Altogether, we decided that we could fly a Diamond 9. Somehow, these aircraft went into the hangar. They came out a couple of days later, 2 more were black. So that allowed us to take 9. But before we left, I said, you better get started on a couple more in case we need some spares. So that we successfully flew 1957 Farnborough with 9. There wasn't a murmur from anywhere in fighter command as to how we'd got 9 when we had permission to do 7. In fact, there was 11. And then as we went on through the season the following year and into 58, miraculously, the rest of them got painted black. So we had 16 out of 16 all black aircraft. So, into 1958, and the Commander-in-Chief came down, because he'd like to come down and chat to the pilots and have a coffee with us. And this, of course, was Air Marshal Sir Thomas Pike, great aviator himself. And so he would come into my office, sit down, and he would say, we have to close North Weald. Where would you like to go? I said, oh, I'd love to go to RAF Tango. But he said, oh no, we've got plans for that, we're going to close that too. He said, your long-term station is Wattisham, but you can't go there yet because the runway is up for major repairs, but you can go into North Nuffin. You'll be there on your own and you can practice your aerobatics to your heart's content up there. No other squadron's going to be there. wasn't a question that you can go, it was that is where you will go. But so fine. Then he said, what are you going to do for Farnborough this year? I said, well, the only idea is that the one thing you can do with the Hunter, and probably most aircraft, you can take an awful lot round in a formation loop. You can't take a lot round in a roll, say. And he said, what do you have in mind? I said, well, I think we could do 20. And he said, yeah, this sounds all right, but you've only got 16 aircraft. And I said, yeah, that's true, sir. I thought perhaps you might be able to get command to lend us some. And he said, do you think the other squadrons want to lend them? And I said, no, I don't think I will. But I said, it would be quite spectacular and I think unique across the air forces. Then he went back, and the next thing we got the message that was okay in aircraft and pilots. Well, I could select aircraft and pilots. In the end, I ended up with 26 Hunters altogether with their pilots.
The prize products of Britain's aircraft industry. Yes, that's Farnborough, an annual trade fair for aircraft and guided missiles. The Bloodhound, a surface-to-air anti-aircraft weapon, and the Sea Slug, an anti-aircraft weapon for the Royal Navy. Working models too, an ejector seat, one saved a pilot's life during the show. And demonstrating their amazing performance, supersonic jets. The Fairy Delta II, handled by pilot Peter Twiss, who flew it at that record 1,132 miles per hour. The aircraft industry's most important customers are the government for home defense and overseas airlines for those vital exports. The Avro Vulcan shows the strength of Britain's V-bomber fleet. To home defense and a Hunter equipped with rockets, bombs and missiles for its ground attack role. 22 Hunters, led by squadron leader Roger Topp, gave a wonderful display of close formation flying, the most aircraft ever seen in a display of this kind.
Formation aerobatics have always been a major feature at Farnborough, some years better than others. Here's an historic one. The Squadron Treble One, the squadron leader Roger Topp, the year 1958, and the Black Arrows, borrowing aircraft from all their friends, looped 22 Hunters in formation, a world record.
De la Real Fuerza Aérea en Hunters tipo jet, tan brillantes en la paz como en la guerra. British Movietone News capta este vuelo en masa de aviones Hunter.
We did a few Battle of Britain displays that year. Open days, everybody wanted the Black Arrows to turn up. We could sometimes do 3 shows in a day. And then after the Battle of Britain displays, really the display season's over for that year, and you can start thinking about the next one. And unfortunately, in 1958, I couldn't think about the next thing because I was posting. I'd done 3.5 years, which is a year longer than they'd originally posted me for, but I managed to get another year out of it. And then Peter Latham arrived to take over from me, and he carried on through 59 and 60, I think 61.
Over 40 years of flying was the theme of this air show at Hucknall near Nottingham. The fighters of 1916, the string bags of the First World War, and the daring-do dogfights of those fighter pioneers. On to Battle of Britain days, the days of the Spitfire. Now, over 20 years later, a new shape in the sky, the delta wings of aerobatics. Finally, the Black Arrows of Treble One Squadron, the famous aerobatic team of Royal Air Force hunters.
The Shah of Persia visited RAF Cottesmore not only to inspect the airmen, but some of the aircraft as well, including the Gloucester Javelin, the V-Force Avro Vulcan, the brand new Follett jet trainer, and finally the Hawker Hunter, now coming to the end of its frontline role. The Shah, himself an avid pilot, watched a flypast by another V-Force bomber, the Valiant. The Canberra was also on show. He was then treated to an impeccable display of aerobatics from the world-famous Black Arrows, now led by squadron leader Peter Latham. A great day was had by all.
Here in the heart of the quiet Suffolk countryside is the home of one of the world's most remarkable jet squadrons, 111 Squadron, Royal Air Force, a crack squadron, famed all over the Western world as Treble One. Low cloud this morning, but the Met man says it will pick up. I hope he's right. And this is the CO, Squadron Leader Peter Latham. One thing is sure, those Hunter jets are ready to go, says Flight Lieutenant Phillips, even if the weather's a bit off-putting, dicey for aerobatics. The sign? Oh, that was borrowed from the Navy. Even on a fully operational fighter squadron, you sometimes have to be patient. Peter Latham checks with Met. All set to go. And I had a good hand, too. The briefing of Treble One usually lasts a quarter of an hour. Today, they're trying a new maneuver, the wine glass. With their 9 hunters, they'll form a wine glass shape. What you can't remember, you write on your knee. Here's a useful way of showing the sort of shape you want. They're models of planes flown by earlier pilots of Treble One. Their average age is 27. Snoopy, Paddy Hines' dog, has heard all this before. The world's finest aerobatics team, they've proved themselves against stiff competition. Peter Latham, the boss, 33 years old, married with 5 young children. All over the continent, they're known as the Black Arrows. Why black? During the war, Treble One skimmed over the regulations forbidding the use of unit markings and painted their Spitfires with black bars along the fuselage. Tradition dies hard in the Royal Air Force. Performance figures for these jets are secret, but they can do more than 700 miles an hour. All clear to go. The Avon jets open up. The Arrow 5, Peter Latham leading. On his immediate right, Paddy Hine, number 2. On his left, Matt Kemp at number 3. On the right flank, Bill Clayton Jones, number 4. On the far left, Oscar Wilde, number 5. Brian Mercer in front. He's number 6. Leslie Boyer on his left, number 7. Roger Hyman's right, number 8. Tony Aldridge behind, number 9. And into the big 9 loop. Like a football team, each pilot has his own preferred position. They don't often switch from one flank to the other. Not an ambidextrous one amongst us, they say. What'll they be up to today? And now for that new maneuver, the wine glass. It takes tremendous physical and mental effort, a strong nerve, split-second reactions, and 100% concentration to produce this steady and powered elegance. Up in front there, Peter Latham is countering the bumps with precision control. Errors are strictly out. Even slight deviations of course are reflected right through the team and are magnified as they ripple through the formation. Colin Hardy is Treble One's eyes on the ground. His job is to find flaws in the pattern. Rolling now. That looks pretty good. These cadets from Scotland never expected anything like this. Oh, for a pair of silver wings. And if you can fault that one, Flight Lieutenant Hardy, we'd be surprised. Well, let's find out. The inquest. Debriefing is thorough, detailed, self-critical. The entire flying pattern is gone over move by move for precision, tidiness, and tightness of formation. And there's no getting away from the evidence either. If you were a foot or so out, way out there, they'll all know soon. Just exactly what happened to you, Roger. Me? Why pick on me? This is the big show, the event they've been practicing for. They've assembled like this to watch Treble One all the way from Oslo to Lisbon. And here they are. Start, taxiing, takeoff, all are allotted their strict times in the schedule. Treble One are proud of their record of never having failed to put in an appearance whatever the weather. Here's that wine glass again. Smoke on, go. The operative word from the leader is go over the radio before every move. The smoke is coming from concealed canisters. Keep it smooth. It costs thousands to train a pilot to cope with these machines. No wonder. The Hunter, say these pilots, is the ideal aircraft for aerobatics. Sleek, beautiful, as graceful as anything that has flown. A lovely roll, parallel with the line of the crowd, 4 feet between wingtips, and the same short distance in the step down from front to rear. Just clear of the other jets. 4 feet. And into the Voodoo, a Treble One specialty this, 450 miles an hour, 4 feet apart, and over the top at 180. They need 5,000 feet for a loop like this, and away go two. The big 7 roll. Those bumps up there give the same sensation as driving a sports car fast over a rutted road. And each plane produces its own bow wave of air, which tends to exert pressure on the one in front. You've got to counter that. And there's wing wash, the air coming off the wings to interfere with the balance of other aircraft alongside. How close can you get? How vertical? It's Peter Latham's job to position the team so as to give the crowd the best possible view. It's just not done in aerobatics to fly at an angle uncomfortable to spectators. When Treble One are flying, no spectator has to lift his sights more than 55 degrees above the horizontal. It's as precise as that. Away go two more. What are they going to do now? Changing formation. Yes, this is it. Treble One's pièce de résistance. Their aerobatic payoff that has shaken pilots from a slower age, stirred thousands of people across a continent, and caused even the somewhat detached crews of Vulcan bombers to express admiration. The bomb burst. Copyright Treble One. Down go Peter Latham's 5. What a maneuver this is. Here they come, right on the dot. Brian Mercer's 4, and up. Split-second timing is vital. Even the slightest miscalculation and the magnificent pattern is ruined. Another show to chalk up. More flying time in the logbook. We can relax now. Nothing like an energetic game of croquet to stimulate young fighter pilots' appetites. And to work up a thirst. Let's forget flying. Do you think so we might try it this way tomorrow? The hunters go inside for close inspection. The squadron's motto is ad stantes. It's a typically English understatement. It means standing by.
A comet of the Royal Air Force Transport Command brought to Lynham Airfield a party of 36 senior officers from Baghdad Pact countries. These officers came from Iran, Pakistan and Turkey, were visiting Britain. A fellow member of the Pact to see the latest weapons of the armed forces and to watch military exercises. They were also to see something of the actual life of the country. At Wattisham, an RAF fighter station, the officers watched a formation flying display by Hunter jets of the famous Treble One Squadron.
As a fighter pilot, I was most impressed by the air display carried out by Hunters. It was the best I have ever seen.
Farnborough is the shop window for a week of the British aeronautical industry. The new and the almost new make a fascinating display. We've seen these craft carrying almost everything. The latest freight is a rocket missile.
Now, a new version of one of Britain's famous V-bombers, the Vulcan V2. It has greater range, higher altitude, and even better all-round performance. English Electric was showing two Lightnings, the fully supersonic fighter scheduled for RAF service next year. and a two-seater trainer version. The P1, as this fighter was originally called, showed that it was rightly named Lightning. Farnborough's a wonderful show, and a thrilling highlight of the flying display is the wonderful performance by Hunter 6s of Treble One Squadron RAF, the Black Arrows. Theirs is a celebrated and immaculate display of formation aerobatics that never fails to fascinate. Superb flying by the Royal Air Force, bursting like a bomb over Farnborough.
Now back to the runway, where Hawker Hunters are lining up for one of Farnborough's aerobatic displays. These are the men and machines of Treble One Squadron Royal Air Force, known collectively and expressively as the Black Arrows. The traditions of the Death or Glory boys, the trailblazers of World War II, have been handed on to the pilots of the jet age. Their skill and daring are now combined in a display to thrill the Farnborough crowds. The Hunters dive in a spectacular bomb burst over the field, and we reach the finale of this Farnborough flypast. Another chapter of aviation progress, written in the sky.
For those looking back, remembering how it all began, the trials, errors, triumphs and tragedies, the story of the RAF has been a dramatic example of progress. For those looking forward, the next 42 years will hold even more. For looking ahead into the possibilities open to man in the sky, the RAF can see no horizon. Time, hard work and determination have taken them far. The same will take them further yet.
Yes, they were a major attraction for holiday spectators at North Weald. The RAF Black Arrows, world famous for their brilliant formation flying. And there was a flashback to the Battle of Britain, with the appearance of a Hurricane and a Spitfire. They laid on a dogfight for entertainment. Racing at Goodwood, and while the cars warm up, an air display by the famous Black Arrows Treble One Squadron.
Interested and attentive crowd around that valiant trace. And here's Treble One coming over the airfield. Sixteen of them going up in a loop, making smoke, blue sky behind them. What a picture. And as they come out of the loop, I will try to call up Chris Trace again in the leading aircraft sitting at Peter Latham's side. Come in, Chris Trace, if you can hear.
Farnborough 1960 introduced the short SC-1. The Follen Gnat made an appearance, and the RAF's V-Force bombers, including the Victor and Vulcan. But sadly for the crowds, 1960 was to be the last time the spectators would ever see the now world-famous Black Arrows, who were shortly to be disbanded before reassembling with the Lightnings. But they were still led by the redoubtable squadron leader Peter Latham. As usual, now 18 Black Arrows performed their immaculate looping display to thrill the expecting crowds. They were not to be disappointed. Also that year, the Royal Aero Club awarded the coveted Britannia Trophy to the Black Arrows. This was the first time in the history of the Royal Aero Club that it had awarded the trophy to a unit rather than an individual. Squadron leader Peter Latham was delighted to receive the award from His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh.
Farnborough, 1960, the 21st flying display and exhibition given by the Society of British Aircraft Constructors. And to end the show, Treble One Squadron, the Black Arrows with their Mark 6 Hunter jets.
Put Treble One on the runway now.
Let's join them high over the Farnborough field. Wingtip to wingtip, the perfection of teamwork in the air.
Crown Prince of Morocco flew to Wattisham, Suffolk to see the Black Arrows. The C&C Fighter Command, Sir Hector McGregor, introduced him to the famous Treble One Squadron, whose hunters have been a familiar and thrilling sight in hundreds of displays. Today, in the Crown Prince's honour, the Black Arrows gave their last exhibition of super aerobatics. Squadron leader Latham explained the cockpit layout. He and his men are soon to give up the hunters and fly Lightnings. In aerobatics, they'll be seen no more. Providing thrills for millions all over the world, the famous RAF Black Arrows aerobatic team has given its last display. At Wattisham, Suffolk, Squadron Leader Peter Latham briefed his men for their final performance in Spain. The Treble One Squadron's Hunters are soon to be replaced by the twice-as-fast English Electric Lightnings, not suitable for these aerobatic demonstrations. And now to put these blackboard plans into operation and thrill the Barcelona crowds. Destination below, Muntadas Airport, setting for the International Air Festival. Now for a pilot's view of the Black Arrows in action. No room for mistakes here. Now a row. A loop in wineglass formation. This is not the last we shall see of RAF aerobatic teams. The job will be handed to another Hunter Squadron to live up to the great reputation the Black Arrows have won for the Royal Air Force.
This is the award, Peter.
Oh, first class. Well, Bob, perhaps delighted that you've won this Encyclopedia Britannica award for that television feature film of Treble One Squadron. Absolutely first class.
Thank you very much, Peter, and to the rest of your team for making the award possible.
Not at all. It was a delight having you flying with us, and the nice thing is that now we've given up the aerobatics with this very good permanent record of it. Congratulations, Bob.
Thank you very much indeed.
Well done.
Thank you.
an infinity of length and breadth. This is the mightiest stage in the world, and only one man and a machine are on it, dancing a fantastic ballet. For 44 years, Treble One Squadron of the Royal Air Force, to which this Hawker Hunter belongs, has written history in the skies. Its battle honours are threads of purest gold in the brilliant tapestry of British wartime aviation. Palestine, 1918. The Battle of Britain, 1940. North Africa, 1942. France, 1944. Italy, 1945. Honours in times of peace, too. Treble One was the RAF's first high-level fighter squadron, and from its winged ranks sprang the greatest aerobatics team that Britain has ever known, the Black Arrows, the most distinguished plume in the cap of fighter command. This man knows freedom of movement and a sense of power which can only come through iron discipline, the discipline that a pilot rigidly imposes both on his machine and on himself. The squadron's nerve centre and its training ground is in the green heart of Suffolk. Ad stantes, standing by, is the motto of Treble One. It is a motto which might equally well apply to fighter command itself, now an integral part of NATO, standing by in the general defence of the West. The sleek black bodies of the Hawker Hunters, with their swept-back wings, give the aircraft an almost uncanny impression of flight, even when they're on the ground. Their name dramatically describes the role for which these turbojets were intended. They must hunt, and, like the Hawks, they must be as fleet as the wind in the pursuit of their prey. It costs £100,000 to train a fighter pilot, and twice as much as that to build a Hunter. Figures like these help to bring into sharp focus the vital contribution made by the station's ground staff, and it gives their job an importance matched only by the job of the pilot himself. The men of Treble One would be the last to claim that life at their station, Wattisham, is an unbroken sequence of high flying and taut emotion. That popular misconception is probably the inheritance left to the squadron by the Black Arrows. There's plenty of routine at Wattisham, the kind of routine a station must have before it can justifiably boast that it has achieved the maximum state of readiness. The ensign is run up at the start of a new day. Before it is lowered at sunset, Treble One will be just that much nearer perfection. And for the pilot, that much may represent the difference between failure and success. As for the inner man, well, here again, nothing is left to chance. You can get pretty hungry up there among the clouds, you know, with not so much as a naffy wagon in sight. As aircraft designers keep pushing the barriers of speed and space further and further back, the need for the ultimate in safety assumes paramount importance. Ejection seats have saved many lives. They're one of the most worthwhile products of the push-button age and serve as a sobering reminder that as long as man ventures into the skies, the element of risk must be taken into account. The pilot, busy at his controls, can't afford to dwell too much on this, so it is up to the scientist at his desk and the ground staff at stations such as Wattisham to ensure that the margin of safety is as wide as man's ingenuity can make it. In the control tower, preparations are being made for the daily interception exercise, part of the routine of all squadrons of fighter command. For this, 3 hunters will be needed. 1 as the target, 2 as interceptors. Just 3 aircraft, but behind them will lie all the resources of Wattisham. The The telescramble lines over which the pilots get their takeoff orders from the control tower are connected. The alert is sounded, and within minutes, the pilots are ready to take off. This may be just another exercise, but it is going to be an exact replica of the real thing. One doesn't have to pretend for the purpose of the exercise that the station is standing by for action at an instant's notice. This is the actual state of readiness at Wattisham. The advent of the missile age has ordained it, and Fighter Command is geared to it. At a tracking station some distance away, one of a whole network that cover the United Kingdom, a radar screen picks up the story. The two interceptors get their orders to scramble, and the exercise is on.
Portal C. Mission 3-1 and 3-2 airborne. Coming on to 4-0 to Angels 5.
Mission 3-1-3-2, Portal C. Receiving you loud and clear. Maintain your present vector. Have no radar contact yet.
3-1 and 3-2, roger. Maintaining.
Mission 3132, Portal C. Have you in radar contact? Your target, 12 o'clock, range 75. Target height 30,000. Speed 0.8 Mach and heading south.
3132, roger.
Your target going to 2 o'clock, range 40. Turn starboard now to 170.
3132, roger.
When you come out of the turn, your target will be at 12 o'clock, range 25, same heading. Target height still 30. 3132, target's range is now 10.5. Height now 32,000. Speed 0.8 Mach. Maintain your present heading. Your target is slightly right now, 1230, range 2. Are you contact?
3132, affirmative, contact. Coming in.
And that's it. The interception is over, the enemy attacker has been destroyed, and the hunters return to base. pilots of Treble One are the natural successors of men who fought the Battle of Britain, and their planes are the heirs to the Spitfire which served Britain so well. Treble One does not resent the fact that it is mainly through its now disbanded aerobatics team, the fabulous Black Arrows, that the squadron has achieved world fame. On the contrary, the brilliant honors won by the Black Arrows have given the squadron a prestige and, incidentally, a recruitment boost it might otherwise never have enjoyed. The pictures you're seeing now are historic in that they capture, at the very height of their fame, a magnificently coordinated team that is no more, a page of glory that can never be erased from the history of aviation. In times of war, it is the squadron leader who directs his men towards the target and afterwards away from it. His brain must think for all. So, as the Black Arrows take to the skies, what better person than the squadron leader to take up our story?
Pulling up for Treble One loop. Smoke going on now. 6 and 9 away. And then we're finished. The Black Arrows have flown into history. But Treble One Squadron lives on as a tribute to the Royal Air Force. A powerful deterrent to anyone foolhardy enough to think that the warning in the squadron's motto, "Standing by," is nothing but an idle boast.
Two hunters, led by squadron leader Roger Top, gave a wonderful display of close formation flying, the most aircraft ever seen in a display of this kind.
Formation aerobatics have always been a major feature at Farnborough, some years better than others. Here's an historic one. The Squadron Treble One, the leader, Squadron Leader Roger Top, the year 1958, and the Black Arrows, borrowing aircraft from all their friends, looped 22 hunters in formation, a world record.
So we went from hunters into formation aerobatics and ended on a high note with hunters on formation aerobatics, meanwhile being fully operational throughout the whole period.